Okay, so I'm going to animate here in Photoshop today. And in order to do this, you need to set your file up so that you have multiple layers, and then the object that you want to animate is on its own separate layer. The next thing I need to do is actually get a timeline where I can make the motion happen. So to do that, I'm going to go up to Window and down to Timeline. That's going to give me this little window right here. And then I want to say Create Video Timeline. So I'm just going to click on that, and that will create the video timeline for me. It's going to expand it here, and then you can see that in this timeline, this is the beginning of the time, this is the end of the time, and if I move this playhead along, then it's, that's actually the time happening, but there's no motion at the moment, so nothing's happening. So in order to make this dog move, I need to first figure out where I want him to be. So I'm going to grab my select tool, and I'm just going to position him where I want him to be to begin with. And then down here where it says position, I'm going to turn on the little clock. That creates the first keyframe. Then I'm going to move my playhead along, and I'm going to move the dog to where I want him to be at the end. So now between this keyframe and the second keyframe, Photoshop created that keyframe because my playhead was in a new spot and the dog was in a new spot, so it knows to create a keyframe then. So now he's going to move from there to there. If I decide, you know what, I don't really want him to go in a straight line, I want him to go up in the air in the middle, then I could go back and position in between those two. And now if I move him up a bit, now he'll go up and over. Okay? That's really all there is to creating the actual motion. Now to actually export this as a video, we go up to File and Export and Render Video. This is a big scary window, but the first thing you need to do is give it a name, obviously, and then tell it where to export it to. So this is important so you know where to find your file. I'm just going to go right to my desktop. And then for the options down here, it's really going to base these numbers on the file that you started with. But my recommendation is to choose H.264. That'll give you an MP4 file when you're done. And leave the rest alone, unless you're trying to dummy it down for some reason. Then you're going to hit Render. And because I chose desktop, that's going to export this file to my desktop, and that'll be a completely separate file from the Photoshop file that I was working on. Okay, so now if I look down on my desktop, here's my little MP4 file of my dog jumping. I would still need to save the Photoshop file if I ever wanted to come back and work on that again. Okay, so that's it.